The first securitization of cannabis lending collateral was CMBS, a financial product with over $500 billion in assets. Hey everyone, TDR Traded Black on location in New York City with the Pelorus Capital Group, who had a big announcement this week. They announced the first company to provide a securitization of cannabis-linked collateral in history. How big is this news? Well, it's real big, as they're going to be featured here at the New York Stock Exchange, featured on FinTech TV, and meeting with a ton of investors as they continue their road tour, and including President and co-manager Rob Seacrest flying out to the Hamptons tomorrow to check out a big event with Cory Booker to talk about legislation and where we are as far as moving the ball forward when it comes to cannabis. All this and more as we dive deep into this road tour with Pelorus here in the Big Apple.
Why are we in New York City?
Today we're on our way to the New York Stock Exchange, and Travis is going to speak about our securitization that we just recently closed. I'll do some information about some legislation updates.
Yep.
And then we're going to head to the Green Markets Report and speak there. And we're just on a little tour here.
Little road tour.
To give some information or to meet people, and then tomorrow meet Senator Booker.
So you met with a group of investors last night. What's, I guess, some of the big questions that people were asking pertaining to the announcement earlier this week?
Yeah, so, most of our investors are retail investors, and they don't understand what securitization means.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them think that it's debt. So it's still just a very fresh announcement, so we haven't had a chance. We haven't been back in the office to, we'll be putting together a webinar for our investors to explain it in more detail. Just trying to kind of give them the landscape of what securitization really means, and explain that to them. So that was one thing, but we try to meet our investors wherever we're in town, and it's just a good chance for them to continue to build the relationship with us and ask us any questions.
Yeah, you're really starting to build your name and your profile, but if people are still trying to understand who you are, Rob, and how you're respected within this industry, what are some of the reasons why, let's say the New York Stock Exchange, or some of these events like Cory Booker's inviting you to, why are you being invited to a lot of this stuff?
Yeah. Well, first of all, just to take a step back, we're just trying to educate the industry of what we've learned being the first lender in the sector, and doing all the first in the sector, being the first lender to this dedicated lender, first to launch a dedicated fund, first private mortgage REIT, first investment grade rating, first bond offering with institutional investors, and now the first to do a securitization. So we're trying to basically make the cannabis sector more normalized for the financial products. Travis has been a big part in achieving a lot of those things that I named. And we're out here to try to continue to educate both our investors, but just the investors and the market in general. And we're also trying to help push forward safe banking and any legislation that is meaningful to enhance this industry. I think it's important, and I think it benefits everybody.
We brought up actually in the spaces how MasterCard, with the announcement last week, how that could actually indirectly help the industry, and something like safe banking to be pushed forward maybe a little bit quicker. Do you believe that?
I don't think that there's necessarily that much impact of talking negatively about the senators or positively. I don't think they care. And I don't think that they are looking at the optics of all that as much as everybody thinks. I think that the groundswell of momentum that Dana Rohrabacher spoke about, I think that that's been achieved, and that's what was the tipping point that is starting to get the momentum. There's accusations and things flying back and forth all the time. I don't think that it really impacts. I think that most politicians believe that the noise coming through Twitter and all that is just noise, and if they paid attention to that, they'd never get anything done.
All right, we're pulling up to the exchange now, so let's head on in, and we'll come back out and talk more about how basically the overall experience was.
All right, let's do it.
How much does it help, I guess, you guys being here at the New York Stock Exchange and having access to this?
It's a massive halo for us. It gives credibility of this is the premier market of the world,
right?
And even though we don't have any intentions of going public, it's nice to be in this environment and show that we have access to this and are able to be credible here.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, if you see the energy that happens, you've seen it on TV so many times. So when you in person, it's just different. It's amazing.
That's for sure. So the experience of the New York Stock Exchange is completed. We're now with Travis Go, who's the managing partner of Pelorus. Good to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
I know. So we had Robin here on the way to the New York Stock Exchange. He was just premiered on FinTech TV. You said, got to experience that once in your life on the floor, and you did not disappoint when you were telling us basically expectation-wise what that experience was like. But when was your first time actually going down to the New York Stock Exchange?
It was for the first interview I did on FinTech TV, and we got to see the bell ring and everything.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just a spectacular experience. I mean, it's so exciting and historic, and especially if you work in finance and the energy, it's just it's something special.
Robin mentioned he's going to say this for you to answer about the securitization that was announced with the company. So first thing, for a lot of our viewers, explain what that means and how it works.
So a securitization, and we're the first company to ever issue a securitization backed by cannabis-linked collateral in history. So we're extremely excited about it. I've spent my career working in and out of various angles of securitization, whether I was trading bonds and buying them or doing distressed debt within them. And so it's a structure I'm very familiar with. And so it was always a target for something that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But to the viewers that don't know, you basically take a pool of loans. So in this case, it was 9 loans, and you put them in a pool, and then you issue a bond backed by those loans and only those loans.
Right.
And so it means 2 different things. One, it walls off the risk for both a bond buyer and walls off the risk for the investors in our fund. But then 2, from a borrower perspective in cannabis, CMBS, which is one of the big form of securitization.
It's $1 trillion asset, right?
It's a $500 billion total outstanding issuance market. So this is us tapping into a larger pool of capital that can ultimately go to fund more cannabis companies and continue to fund the growth of this industry. So we're very excited about it. And from an investor perspective, it means an increased yield on those loans that were deposited within that pool. So returns go up and access to capital goes up. And this is a very standard structure for non-cannabis mortgage REITs and lenders. Everybody uses a mix of equity and debt to fund themselves, and it's usually a choice between a line of credit or a securitization. And we did the first securitization, so we were the first to get an FDIC in line of credit, and now
why were you able to be the first one to do it? What do you think?
Working with quality people, having a quality loan book, and ultimately being able to navigate this industry. So, you know, we worked with some of the best people in the industry in securitization. Performance Trust was our sole book runner on our deal, and we worked with a law firm called Cadwalader, which is one of the top 3 law firms that does securitization. So we're able to surround ourselves with top quality service providers and bankers to help do it. But it was a big win for us and a big win for the industry.
Well, I was going to say, you know, we talked about you being the first. Maybe break it down to our viewers too, like pertaining to the cannabis industry. Why is it taken up to this time to, like, you know, provide something like this? Like, what is the, I guess, the hurdles that you have to jump through pertaining to cannabis in order to provide this securitization? To your point, as you said, it being the first in the industry.
A lot of it is tied to the fact that cannabis is still illegal on the federal level, but it's legal on a state level. So that limits the number of players that can be involved. It limits how you can custody things. It limits what service providers will be involved. And there's a lot of complications that come with it that need to be navigated and mitigated in order to get acceptance from institutional investors. And we were able to do that. And we expect to continue to go. This will not be our only securitization. We expect to be in the market later this year with another one, and we have a clear roadmap on how to do this on a go-forward basis.
So what would you best describe then? Like, what's changed? Because as you said, cannabis is still legal, but let's face it, people are opening up and warming up to the idea a lot quicker. What do you think has ultimately changed for people to have a different sentiment towards it?
I think it's what you said. Sentiment is changing. It's becoming destigmatized. The benefits of cannabis legalization are starting to outweigh all the naysayers and doomsayers about what would happen if it became legal, and those worst case scenarios just are not happening. And I think people are opening up and saying this is one of the fastest growing new industries in the entire country.
Yeah.
It's $27 billion in annual sales per year on the legal market. And so if you look, some estimates are as high as 80 to 100 billion in sales if you include the illegal market. So this is a legal market that's growing, has tremendous growth trajectory, and investors, whether you want to be in the equity and come into our fund, or you want to be in a bond as an institutional investor, you're supposed to bet on growth, and growth typically wins out over time, even if there are headwinds in the industry. When you have such a big tailwind behind you, that smooths out a lot of things, and we're just very bullish on the space.
All right, we are heading down now towards the J Conference Center, which is the Financial Investor Summit. Some good speakers there in the lovely traffic of New York City. Do you guys know much about, I know you're going to be speaking, both of you today, and any anticipation as to what we're looking at as far as atmosphere?
We try to more focus on the capital markets conferences as opposed to industry conferences. That's more the lane that we're in, and this is one of those conferences in that lane. Jason, our borrower from Terracen, Jason Wild, is speaking first, and we're happy to support him and be there. And it's always it seems that he's at most of the same events as us, so he's supporting us and we're supporting him.
Should be fun.
So a very productive few days, to say the least, for Pelorus Capital Group here in the Big Apple of New York City. Big to obviously take away the announcement earlier this week. The first securitization of cannabis lending collateral was CMBS, a financial product with over $500 billion in assets. So what does this mean for you, the investor? It means that Pelorus is going to be able to have access to lend more money to public equity companies like the Terracens of the world. And two, it means the overall infrastructure of this industry is going to grow and greater returns within their fund. So what did you think of the interview of the past few days? Did you like the content we produced? Feel free to leave a comment below. Let us know what you like. Don't forget to like this video and share this video within your network. And most importantly, subscribe to our channel, because we would not be here without you. Thanks for watching, everyone.